Hello, my name is Yanina Nava and I'm part of the escrow team here at Horne Associates. I wanted to jump on here and kind of give you guys some information with how the market is these days. We've been seeing a lot more deals come through, and we wanted to get in here and kind of go over the process to help make it a smoother transaction for everyone that is submitting deals. When submitting a deal to Horne Associates, one of the first things that we sent out is an introduction email that we attach our process and procedure form to. Now, our process and procedure form gives us the information that we need from both buyer and seller and the type of deal that we're going to be working on, so we have all of the information. One of the common questions that we get asked is why we have to have the process and procedure form filled out if we are requesting all of the documents that are listed on page 3. And the answer to that is the process and procedure form gives us all the information that we need to be able to start your transaction. We do realize that a lot of the documents that are being submitted have that information, but the process and procedure form is a one-stop form that gives us all the information, so we don't have to be going through all of the documents that we request. Another common question that we get asked is how soon can we close once we receive a file? Now, our standard procedure is once we receive the process and procedure form completely filled out with all of the documents listed on page 3, along with the submission fee and the earnest money, it takes us about 10 to 15 days for us to close the file. Now, we do require a full complete file for us to be able to hit that goal of 10 to 15 days. When items are being piecemealed to us, it makes it harder for us to accommodate the closing date that's listed on the contract. So we do ask for people submitting files to us to please submit a full complete file with as much information as possible in the beginning, so then that way we have the information that we need to go ahead and help you close the date that is listed on your contract. One of the things that we see happening a lot more is last minute changes. Now, when we request information up front in the process and procedure form, sometimes we have a buyer and a seller. We do understand that a lot of these times investors are the ones that are purchasing these properties, and they may end up assigning the contracts mid-transaction. If that's the case, all we ask is that we get informed with the complete information of the new buyer as well as any contact information. A lot of the times there's a big confusion because a lot of these investors and a lot of other people that are using us, they have transaction coordinators, and we understand that a transaction coordinator is used to help gather the information that's needed for the closing. If we're not given the information of the new people being included into the transaction, it makes it hard to communicate and give updates on the file regarding closing date and what's needed. Once we get a full complete file and it's ready to go to doc prep, we will send out copies of all of the documents ahead of time for you to review. Now, a lot of the times we do see that docs are signed or they're not reviewed before the closing happens, and a lot of the times we are asked to make changes, last minute changes, or something was wrong, and that also holds up a lot of the closing and funding process. So we do ask that once the documents are sent out for review, that they are looked over and they are reviewed, and if there are any changes that need to be made, that we're emailed immediately so we can make the changes and send out revised documents for you guys to use for your closing. Once the closing is done and we receive the executed documents, we take 24 to 48 hours to fund. Now, one of the other things that we do see happen a lot is we have people that are receiving funds asking for either check or wires last minute. If you know that you are going to be receiving funds on the transaction, please make sure to fill out the wire request form with all of the information. Now, we do have a form that we send out with the closing documents. It's our outgoing wire form that we require all the information, and it needs to be filled out completely as well. A lot of the times people think that sending us their routing number and their account number is enough for us to send a wire, and it is not. We do require additional information along with a phone number, because we will have to verbally verify the information before we can send out any wires for funding. One of the common transactions that we see a lot are houses that are being purchased before a foreclosure happens. Now, this is something that we do understand that is time sensitive because the foreclosures are every first Tuesday of the month. we still require a full file or as much information as possible in order for us to accommodate that closing. A lot of the times, if these houses are already listed for foreclosure, that means that there is a reinstatement that is needed. We do ask all this information up front, but there are times where a seller may not give that information to their buyer or to the middle person, and sometimes we're finding out last minute that the house is going up for auction on the first Tuesday of the month. These are questions that they do need to be asked with your seller. So if you are a buyer and you are looking for these types of transactions, I would really sit down with your seller, get as much information as possible so we have the accurate information to be able to accommodate the closing ahead of time. We want to be able to let you know what you need, so that way you can get it with enough time to give us to be able to prepare the documents for that transaction. A reinstatement is usually required when a house is already listed for foreclosure. That reinstatement is only good until a certain time that the lender gives you. Now, we do ask that if you are requesting a reinstatement, to make it good through 5 p.m. the day before the foreclosure. That way it gives us enough time to be able to accommodate the closing and the funding for these transactions. Now, reinstatements aren't like payoffs where you can just order them one day and then maybe that same day you get it faxed to you, you get it emailed, or you get it the next day. Reinstatements usually take a while because at that point of being listed for foreclosure, that means that it has already been sent to an attorney, and that attorney is the one who will need to give us the amount that is needed to reinstate the loan. So for any future deals that our investors are bringing to us that are going into foreclosure, we do ask that the reinstatement be ordered ahead of time to give us enough time to be able to prepare the documents. And again, just make sure that that reinstatement is good through at least 5 p.m. the day before the foreclosure. One of the benefits of closing through Horne Associates is the time frame. When we receive a full complete file with submission fee and earnest money submitted, we can close within 10 to 15 days of that full complete file being submitted. The one thing that will take a little longer is if a title policy is being requested. At that point, we will let you know the time frame for when we get the title policy back and review it for your closing date. We understand that these types of transactions are being seen more and more these days, and here at Horne Associates, we can help facilitate your closings. Whether you're an investor or a realtor that is just trying to get your deal closed, we can definitely help you. Now, with that being said, we do understand that there's a lot of first-time investors that are coming to Horne Associates for guidance. Horne Associates does offer legal consultations for anyone who has questions regarding their transaction. If you would like to contact us, you can find information here or in the description below.